All right, Johnathan Grzybowski, welcome to Beyond Fulfillment.
Super excited to be here. Can't wait to drop some knowledge. I hope I am at least moderately helpful today.
I think you will be. I think you will be. We are just
All
talking
right,
off
good.
camera. I read your bio. You've got quite an interesting entrepreneurial journey, and you really had some early grit based on what I read as far as what you had to do to get started and to grow your company and get it off the ground, and much less to where it is today, where you've got a team of I
More
lost
than
where it
one.
is. You've got a pretty big team. You've scaled the company quite well, it appears. But if you could just set the stage for our listeners, can you talk about how and why you became an entrepreneur?
How and why? It's like it's like drinking water, right? Like as a person and as a very early on in baby, it's like that's just what you do. Like that's just what I've always done is that I've never not been that, and it's like it's hard to be able to say like the why, right? Like of course there's why for every business, but in terms of what I've done in my career, it's always been a very relatively grind and focus on just like solving problems and creating solutions for people. So I guess that also leads to the how. But I'll kind of go, that's like the broad answer, but I'll try and go as micro as possible. There's a very brief period of time where I became relatively depressed and sad, and I had like no vision in my life. And I kind of sat down at a previous job that I used to work for. I used to work at a company called Apple. And I sat down with the manager and I just said, like, hey man, like I'm not happy here. Like this isn't my future. This isn't my thing. So I put in my 2 weeks notice. The guy said, you know what, how about this? Just leave now. Cause like, what are these 2 weeks, this 2 week time period? Doesn't make sense. So within that 2 weeks, I kind of started a business doing social media management. From there, that grew to making multiple connections and relationships with my now co-founder. The two of us started a company called Penji. We were a digital marketing agency at one point in time, where our biggest things that we solved were like web design and SEO and branding and marketing and things like that. And then we realized that that in itself wasn't like our end goal, because the people that we were helping were very much so focused on just like locality. So the digital marketing agency, although our agency technically could have helped and established like world widespread people, we only helped people within like a 30 to 50 mile radius within ourselves, within our business of like our location of Philadelphia. So we were like, well, okay, let's see. Like we want to create a business that people can use and benefit from worldwide, like globally. That's what we've always envisioned in terms of ourselves, like our own goal. And then from there, we are like, well, what are we good at? Well, we're good at graphic design. We're good at being creative. We're good at jobs that people provide us. So we took our core strength and turned it into a product, and then that's what ultimately turned became what Penji is today.
Okay. All right. So let's just go through. So you're at Apple. You're not happy. You quit. They say don't even give us 2 weeks. Just go. You immediately start a social media marketing agency. So you had some interest there and some expertise there. And then eventually you meet your co-founder and you found Penji. But at first you're just digital marketing, graphic design, that type of thing. And then just to kind of set the stage as well for our listeners, talk about what Penji is today.
Penji is a creative subscription service that pairs you with the top 2% of creatives in the world that are all trained and use AI on a daily basis. So if you have any type of creative task, you can give that task to Penji, and Penji will use a combination of AI in addition to fine tuning skill sets in order to receive the deliverable that you're looking for. So, for example, instead of wasting all of your time editing things, whether that be video or whether that be an actual graphic of some sorts. If you don't want to ever log into Canva ever again, if you never want to wait for your prompt to be finished on AI, you give the high level job to Penji, and then they'll complete it as quickly as possible for you.
Okay. So when you're saying you don't want to wait for your prompt to be finished on AI, I mean AI sits like typically in my experience generates stuff pretty quick. Are you saying like this is like almost like a similar type of thing where you're using AI and a combination of skill sets and you put it in, if you're a member, you put in what you need and you can generate videos there kind of right away in the same way?
Not exactly, although that is something that we are working on and we probably will build towards in the future. This is more or less like a on-brand customized like piece of like document, an actual piece that's well branded, that is has their color palettes, has your font choice, et cetera, et cetera. From my personal experience, and maybe you have a different one, Dave, that prompt that you're sending to AI, it most likely you're probably just accepting whatever it sends you, but in order to fine tune it, in order to get it exactly the way that you want, using a template or whatever it is that you use, it usually takes at least a couple of iterations or revisions in order to achieve that. And also, you're only doing potentially, again, I don't know your use case, but you might be doing like one or two things at a time where this prompt is being done. Whereas what we're trying to do is basically be the arm where you don't have to even log into these platforms. You just tell us the high level, whether it be via email, Slack message, or even just our Penji portal, and we'll be able to deliver as much as we possibly can that's based on the deliverable needed.
If you're still trying to hire locally for every role on your team, you're leaving serious money on the table. Ocean's Talent places AI fluent executive operators. We're talking finance, marketing, operations, EAs, fully vetted, full-time, and dedicated to your business. These aren't freelancers or shared resources. They're U.S. caliber talent at a fraction of the cost, backed by a 3-month guarantee. And right now, Beyond Fulfillment listeners get $1,000 off their first hire. Go to oceanstalent.com/Dave to claim it. Okay. All right. So, and you founded this company in 2017. So you're about 9 years in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk, because you've had several iterations and until you got to where you are today. I mean, talk about the early days when you decide to go out on your own. You kind of leaving the job for good. You meet your co-founder. You found this agency. I mean, what was the early days like of actually getting it off the ground, getting customers, getting revenue, becoming profitable, kind of surviving those early years? Talk about what that was like.
It was hell. It was absolute hell. There was a 5-year period where my co-founder and I never made a dollar to our name. We had no money to our name. We took every single amount of dollar in profit and we put it back into the business in order to make sure that it stabilizes and grows, that it grows. We got our first 100 customers relatively simple, believe it or not, because our price point was really low. So in the very beginning of Penji, we were only charging $79 per month. And we pulled all of our friends and our business relationships. I am the salesperson. I manage the sales team as we speak. But I was the main connector where I leveraged all of my audience, my friends, my family's family, whatever it may be. And I asked them to fill out a form. I said, hey, if we were to build this particular thing, would you buy it? Here's what we need in order to make it our product better. Can you fill out this questionnaire? They filled it out. We said, hey, by the way, we built it. Are you interested in it? They became our first customers. We got about 200 relatively easily. Once we got those 200, we then were making like around $10,000 a month or so. From that point in time, we then took all the money, reinvested it back into advertising in order to help grow to our first like 1,000. Obviously, people churned and people left and people came and go and everything else like that. And then we were able to stabilize ourselves to about $25,000 a month. And then that's when it just became explosive growth. People started to recognize a little bit more about our brand. They started to see our name in a lot of places from an advertising perspective. And then they started coming over to our website to buy. And now we're at a point where we are the most reviewed creative subscription service in the world. We have the highest rating. We have the most amount of reviews, but it was like a very slow process in order to make that. But to answer your question, Dave, the very early beginning was just a very slow grind. And I would say out of the 9 years of success, we've only been successful within the past couple of years. The rest of
Oh,
it has just been floating,
okay.
surviving, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah, I appreciate the raw honesty there with that. And let me just ask a couple, because also I read that the way you came up with $79 is you basically threw something at a dartboard and that's the number that it hit. And is that true?
I mean, pretty much, yeah. I mean, we had no logic. There's like zero logic to the $79. We were just like, well, what do you have in your pocket? I have like $80, and then we just said, well, we'll just do that. There were different tiers, right? There was like a $79, there was a $349 offer, and then there's like a $700 offer at the time. Some people obviously chose the like some people did choose the other options, but for the most part, a large majority of the people use the $79 one. And there's actually still one customer in our business right now, because you'd be a complete moron if you decided to cancel this service, but there's one person in the company right now, like on our customer base, that's still paying us $79.
Wow. All right. And so when you talk about like the reality of, you're not charging very much. You're just doing what you can to get known, to get customers, to keep customers, to grow the business, to get experience, to get reviews. And you're literally, I got to imagine there's long hours in the beginning where you're putting your everything into this, and you're literally like you said, you're not making any money. Everything is going back in the business. Like how often did you think about giving up?
I mean, I still think about giving up every day. So the answer is like every day. I mean, like entrepreneurship is super lonely. It's depressing at times. I mean, who do you go to talk about your problems, right? Like you go to your business partner, which if you're lucky enough to have one. If you're not and you're doing it yourself, like you can't go to your employee. You can't even go to your wife at times. Which graciously enough, I do have a great partner, but like, her background is in entrepreneurship, which is fine. I'm glad she's not stupid like me, but like you can't really go to many people to talk about your problems. So like you're in your own head a lot of the times. You might have a bad day or a bad sales day or a sales week or a sales month. People might leave your company. You have to find new people. Like it's ridiculously hard. So like I would say I still think about it every day, but I just know at the end of the day what my goal is and what our goal is as a company. And the unfortunate truth is that at this exact moment, we didn't meet the goal. So therefore, I have no reason to, to quit. At least not right now. I will quit, and when I quit, it means like we achieved. But I'm not stopping until we hit that goal.
Okay. And I guess when you say quit, I mean, is that like fall back? Is that like sell? Is that kind of like
Yeah,
right?
when I say quit, it more or less like I'm not quitting. Like I'm using it in like a very clickbaity type of word. But like when I say quit, I mean it in the sense that like I'm not stopping until we achieve the goal.
Okay. And I love the point that you brought up the loneliness, right, too, because like you said, you got to be strong for your employees. Everything is running through you. People, if they're not in it, are not going to understand, right? Other than maybe other entrepreneurs, right? That maybe you're fortunate enough to have in your network that you can trust and kind of open up to. So, like you said, there's this lonely feeling, and especially when you have a bad day or things don't go right or whatever, right? Like, what got you through those tough moments, especially in the beginning when like you said, you're not making any money?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, right? It's just the combination of like the goal. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a goal in mind, then you're lost. You're completely lost. Like you have to have a goal. You have to have an objective. For us, is some crazy objective. Excuse me one second. Man, when a dog barks, holy moly! It's
Was
like
that
your
the
world is.
is that
That's
the
the
Great
Great
Dane?
Dane. It sounds like I'm sure like a lion of some sorts, but it's yeah. Anyways, like if you don't have a goal, right? If you don't have an objective, then you have nothing to go off of. And I would say that's number one. Number two is that the reason why most startups and business and entrepreneurs fail is because the problem that they're solving isn't large enough. Like I get excited every single day, even with the adaptation of AI. I know that businesses need our service, and it's up to me to be able to find a creative way in order to change the positioning of the service so it's a little bit more digestible for new clients. I need to be able to. We need to be able to create new offerings that's excuse me, enticing to old customers and new customers that are interested in our service. Um, and so if the problem that you've started this business on is no longer achievable and you can't solve it anymore, then it ends up becoming an even larger issue about the validity of the business. But like I know deep down inside, regardless of how bad things ever get or how great things are, I know for a fact that the company is solving a legitimate problem in businesses.
So it's almost like your mission, right? The mission that's kept you going through all the whatever shit you've dealt with and the hard times and the financial issues and whatever else. It's not about anything material. It's more about your mission and your commitment to solving a bigger problem is what got you through and keeps you going even to this day.
I mean, I think the money is definitely a motivator for sure. Like we can't sit here and say that like money is just a byproduct of the problem that you solve. So if you're solving like a legit problem, like you don't have to answer this question, but if you were to hire somebody right now, or if you were to conceptualize how much time you're spending on AI prompts of some sorts, regardless of the output that is delivered, realistically, could you spend that time or money or allocation somewhere else? And the short answer to that question is 99.9% of businesses should probably get rid of that aspect. Because unless, Dave, you're a great marketer and a designer yourself, or some type of creative marketer, sure, maybe you might be able to do it and it might be able to take you time, but for a large majority of people, even in high level positions, they don't want to be behind a computer doing or even an AI prompt sending the messages and making the modifications. So outsource that to a company like us or somewhere else, to be able to get it done for you. The problem has always existed, and I don't think it's ever going to go away.
So now, are you replacing like team members, or literally like are a lot of the people you like? There's literally entrepreneurs doing this stuff themselves versus having maybe in-house marketing people or graphic designers in-house. Like, who are you actually, or is it kind of a combination of that?
So, I mean, we'll take anybody that has that problem, but for the most part, in terms of who we talk to and market to, are digital marketing agencies. So, very people that used to be similar to us in the past, and then number two, internal teams. Entrepreneurs and small business owners can absolutely use Penji, and they'll do a great job at it. But for the most part, it's agencies and marketing teams. Marketing team, and I'll give you an example. I can't use the company name, but I'll allow you to use your creativity in order to come up with the who I'm speaking to. So it's a printer company that is not your sister's printing company. They are a massive organization, globally recognized. Their entire team uses Penji in order to help generate ad creative at scale. And they have designers, they freelance from time to time, they have internal people, but they don't want to do all of the creative for all of the platforms like Best Buy, Staples, Target, Walmart, their website. So, how can you do that effectively at scale, but also save on cost? Penji is that solution. If you're a digital marketing agency and you have 10, 15, 20 clients, you have 10, 15, 20 brands that you need to be in charge of. Your one designer that you have in your business, or your two designers, or your design department, most likely will not be able to facilitate the end deliverables for the client, because they're probably only skilled in one thing, like two things. Like, try hiring a video person and ask that video person to create a logo. It's impossible to do it. Try and find a logo person in order to create a video. Almost impossible. So, I mean, there are some people out there that can do it, and I'm not saying that they don't exist. They certainly do, but it's ridiculously hard to find those people out in the wild. So, with one subscription of Penji, sure, you're spending around $1,000 or so, $2,000 a month, but you're getting the skill set of hundreds of different types of people, and you're going to be able to ask for anything that you want in your business.
Okay. All right. So you basically have a team of experts with whatever needs to be done: logo, graphics, website, video, you name it. And then you can, and obviously using AI as well and sourcing through your talent pool to basically provide that deliverable to either the marketing team or the business owner.
Exactly right. And we have the talent is us. So, like, we are not outsourcing to like random people. Like, every single person that is a part of Penji is our employees of Penji.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so you kind of detailed earlier the rough start and how things took a while to develop. What was the inflection point where things really started to take off?
I would say COVID. COVID was probably the catalyst, because when the world was shutting down, people needed marketing to survive, and they weren't able to touch or interact in the office. They found themselves not communicating well with their internal team. They had to reduce costs because of a pandemic. They came to Penji, and the rest is history.
Okay. All right. And so talk about kind of what things are like present day and what you're working towards with the how big the team is, what your days are like, that type of thing.
My days are pretty boring, because I'm just managing people. But we have over 500 staff globally, all over the world. We have two different types of teams. We have people in the United States working hours. Then we have a team that works our hour nights. So we're around the clock service. I primarily am in charge of the sales and the sales and the experience for the west side. Like, this is the when I say west, I mean like the United States. So I'm in charge of most of the United States working people, but my job in particular is like, how can we get more people to know about Penji? How can more people learn about us and become customers? And that starts off, Dave, by jumping on your wonderful podcast. Leveraging your audience, leveraging you in order to share our story, in hopes that other people resonate well with it and can ultimately become a customer one day.
Okay. All right. And when you look back at this journey too, right? Because I don't even think we talked about this, but I read this and you confirmed it was true, right? You started off in the early days going to Starbucks and not even buying anything, just going there for the free Wi-Fi and bringing peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and just really just doing whatever was necessary to survive, and years without taking any money from the business. And now, like you said, you're a well-recognized name. You've got over 500 staff globally, right? I think you've come a long way. Business is doing very well. When you look back at this whole journey, what's been the best part of it for you?
Um, I have a joke and I have a real story. The first one is the joke. Apparently, I've been allergic to peanuts this entire time. So I would have peanut butter because I couldn't afford anything, and I was allergic to peanut butter, or I was allergic to peanuts. So that wasn't good. So I was like literally killing myself for like 5 years because I would eat peanut butter and jelly every single day. And then every single day I would go home and be like, man, my abdomen really hurts. Like, and I'm like, oh, I'm just stressed out, because like that's what you do when you grow up. I'm just stressed out. You're stressed out all the time. You have anxiety. I'm like, oh, it's just anxiety. It's just stress. No, I was freaking allergic to peanuts. Anyways, the other day I spoke to a customer and she had me on her podcast and she told me point blank how revolutionary Penji has been for the business and that she's been trying to hire somebody for years and no one has ever been able to articulate her brand. And we've been able to save her thousands upon thousands of dollars from not only finding the right person, but hiring somebody in-house. I was able to talk to her and she expressed that to me publicly. And I think you don't in this digital world, you don't really have a metric of like success. Like there's nobody really telling you that you're doing a good job. And it was really nice to be able to finally hear that our business affected somebody. And like I was able to speak to the person that was affected by it. And I think overall that was really, really cool because it's just validation that regardless of the innovation of AI and the implementation of these technologies, that there are still people out there that are confused and don't want to use AI or don't have the skill set of understanding AI to the fullest extent. And I'm really happy to be able to serve those people with our business and our solution.
Okay. All right. And Johnathan, if people want to learn more about Penji, potentially reach out to become a customer or connect with you, find you online, what's the best way they can reach out?
Email me directly if you liked anything that you heard and you resonate any remotely even 1% of the story. You can email me, Johnathan@penji.co. It's JOHNATHAN @penji.co. I'd be more than happy to help out. If you liked our story and you want to become a customer, just head over to penji.co, PENJI.co.
Okay. And we will link all that in the show notes for everyone. Johnathan, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and sharing all this incredible wisdom from your journey with our listeners. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.